You're here because the mainstream media let you down. Turn down the noise because Blackballed starts now.
Justin Trudeau has resigned from the Liberal Party of Canada. And Pierre Poilievre, I believe, feels empowered. And then Mark Carney went on The Daily Show. What does this mean not only for the Liberals and the Conservatives, but also for the People's Party of Canada? We're going to find more on that out today. I'm James D. Fiore, and this is Blackballed. This election, whenever it happens, is going to be seen, I believe, as one of those watershed elections that we haven't seen maybe since the right comparison would be when Mulroney left office and Kim Campbell became prime minister for, 11 seconds or whatever it was. There are so many tributaries to follow as far as news goes. There's the foreign interference report that's coming out on January 31st, and we'll see where that leaves Pierre Poilievre. It looks like it's going to be a two-horse race with the Liberals between Mark Carney and Chrystia Freeland. And nipping at everyone's heels for the fourth election in a row is my guest today. He is the leader of the People's Party of Canada, and we're going to talk to him today about what this election should show for him and his party, and his name is Maxime Bernier. Max, how are you, buddy?
Great. Thank you very much for having me.
No, thank you for coming again. Listen, we don't agree on a lot politically, but we, I think, set a good example on how you can have a civil discussion without necessarily being from the same part of the spectrum.
Yes.
Before we get started, you had an interesting day a few days ago. I'm gonna show a tweet that you put up, and then I'm gonna show a response that you got. So your tweet was as follows: every MP in Ottawa is against Trump's idea of annexing Canada. Great. The same MPs, though, have no problem inviting millions of Indians to gradually replace us, take our jobs, turn beautiful neighborhoods into slums, fight their tribal wars on our streets, harass women, replace our traditions, litter and poop all over the country, kill Canadians while driving trucks, steal from food banks, and abuse the refugee system. It's a disgrace. This country needs radical change, and none of these MPs have the balls to get it done. I do. Join the PPC today. And then you had this from Andrew Coyne. Jesus goddamn, this is the most hateful, disgusting, straight up racist thing I have ever seen from any Canadian politician ever. Now, Andrew Coyne has his opinions. We all have our opinions. I feel like I always kind of err on the giving you the benefit of the doubt, because I don't think, and the points you're making, and maybe you're not as careful as you should be sometimes making those points, because it did sound like you were generalizing there. But I'm going to give you the opportunity to sort of clarify yourself and tell us exactly what you meant. I did see a tweet that you put up after that when you were talking about how you were all for immigration from India if they are quality people and they're qualified and they have good educations and backgrounds and things like that. Can you kind of give us a clarifying statement about what you meant by that tweet?
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to that. That's based on the facts. That is things that are happening in Canada. But you're right, and actually, the Indian community, people who are Canadians from Indian origin, they don't like what they're seeing right now in this country because of that mass immigration. We have fake Indian students that are coming here in Canada, and after their diploma, they don't want to go back to their country of origin, like it was the case all the time. Usually, when you have a permit for a student, after that you leave the country and you go back to your country of origin. And we have a lot of candidates from different ethnicity, different faith, and they understand that when I'm writing that, it's just to open eyes to Canadians with that multiculturalism and mass immigration. we are destroying the social fabric of our country. And these politicians in Ottawa, including the conservatives, they don't want to speak about that because they're pandering to ethnic communities. But when I'm with them and we have candidates from India, and I was campaigning with some of our candidates from India or other country of their origin, and I'm telling them, for me, you're not a Canadian from Indian origin. You are a Canadian. You are here. You are a Canadians, and we have great people coming from India that are doing good things. But now we have people coming from Khalistan, Punjabi, and they don't speak English or French. They cannot integrate into our society. They don't have the same culture. When you import the third world, your country is becoming the third world. So that's why I said we need to end that mass immigration and doing what we did 15 years ago, selecting our immigrants. And, we want to have economic immigrants and not people who are coming here. And actually, it's not fair for them because they don't have a job and they're living in a hotel in paying by taxpayers. And they cannot speak English or French. So it's very difficult for them. Let's do what we have to do and stop that mass immigration. And we must have our moratorium on immigration. But, the fact that Andrew said that I was a racist, actually, they said that in 2019 when I was saying, we need to have fewer immigrants because if we still have mass immigration for a couple of years, we are destroying our country and economically and also socially. I was right in 2019. They were saying that I was a racist. Jack Mead from the NDP said that in the debate in 2019. He said, I don't want with you, you're a racist. I'm not a racist. I'm just speaking about what I believe and for Canadians. And now Andrew Khan is saying that because everything that I said, it happened. We saw that in Ontario or in BC or in other places in Canada. So it's just to open eyes. And so let's go. And you are representing Canada, you members of parliament, can you work for Canadians and stop pandering to these ethnic communities?
Well, there's something about the conservative immigrant or the libertarian immigrant that is vastly underreported in Canada and the United States. In the United States, some of the biggest opponents of illegal immigration are legal immigrants. They feel that the illegal immigrants that come over, especially Hispanics, that they spoil it for them because they got there legally, they went the right way, and then the illegal immigrants that come in, some of them, have problems with the law or whatever, don't pay their taxes, whatever the case may be. They're just there illegally. Hispanics that come to the United States legally are the biggest, most vocal critics of the illegal immigration of the illegal immigrants in the United States, and we see a mirroring of that in Canada. I know that there are people in especially places like Brampton who cannot stand the crime that's happening there. And it is happening at a large disproportionate rate where a lot of immigrants are being charged with assault and sexual assault and auto theft and things like that. We don't want to talk about that. And I think it's because the media feels that they don't want to portray the community and in a certain way, and they don't want to be seen as racist. But that underreporting and that lack of information, it's kind of a problem because we need to deal with this situation. And my question, though, actually is, it looks like Trudeau thought that you were correct when he decided to slash his immigration numbers. He didn't slash them down to the levels that you probably want, but do you think that was a step in the right direction, even if you don't think it went far enough?
Yes, I was surprised about that. Actually, he's the one who created that problem, and he's the one who started to implement a solution. But at the same time, the opposition, the official opposition in Canada, Pierre Poilievre, didn't say anything about that, and he's still pandering, and that's why I'm calling him pandering Pierre. He's pandering to these ethnic communities. And so, if you're not able to name the problem, you won't be able to solve that problem. So, we are not against immigrants. We are against the system actually right now that is dysfunctional and it's not working in the best interest of Canadians. And Poilievre is not able to say that. But Trudeau, like you said, started a little bit to fix the problem that he created, but it's very late and it's nothing. It's just a step in the right direction, but a very, very small step. What we need to do, we have about 20,000, between 20,000 and 500,000 illegals in our country right now. We don't have the right number. We don't know who they are. And so we need to put resources to find them. And yes, for me, an illegal is a person that is coming here under, for example, a student permit. And after that, that person is staying in Canada. So that person is an illegal. Another illegals will be refugees who are coming here in Canada. But when his or her status is declined in Canada, they are not refugees anymore. They must go back to their country. So we have a lot of them here in our country. That will be a big challenge to be able to deport them. But we need to tell them, you don't have any status in Canada. You must go back to your country of origin. And I said that in the face of some people, migrants in Canada, telling them, you're not a student anymore, so you must go back to your country. And if not, we must deport you. You know what we are giving them? We are giving them a gift because they don't respect our legislation. We are giving these fake students coming from India a gift because they don't respect our legislation. So instead of telling them, go back to your country after your diploma, we are telling them we'll give you a gift, we'll give you permanent residency. So we are telling everybody, the way to be a permanent resident can be, not only the official door of entry and asking to be a permanent resident in your country of origin, but you can come, with a fake students or fake for international foreign workers, and after that staying in our country, and we'll give you that nice gift of a permanent residency. So we need to fix that system, and Poilievre and Trudeau are not speaking about that.
Yeah, I think they might be motivated by different things. I'm going to pivot here a little bit, but on the Indian immigration thing and the Conservative Party's relationship with the Modi government in India. And I want to be careful how I word this because the NC COP report is coming out on January 31st. Pierre Poilievre still hasn't gotten his security clearance as leader of the faithful opposition. And I'm wondering if you think that those two things are connected, and especially as it pertains to Patrick Brown's ouster of the 2022 leadership, leadership campaign, where the one that Poilievre won. I don't know how much you know about that, but maybe I'll start with the easy or the most interesting question. You've worked with Pierre Poilievre. You served in cabinet when he was Stephen Harper's pit bull. Why do you think, and I'm asking you to speculate, and you don't have to, but I'm hoping you will. Why do you think the leader of the opposition is not getting his security clearance?
Because he doesn't want to have it, because when he will have it, he will have briefing, security briefings, and he will have information. And when you have information, you must deal with it. You must do something with the information that you received. But he doesn't want to know how many MPs in his own caucus are not loyal to our country. It will be a big problem for him. And the fact that he doesn't have his briefing, national security briefing, and it's because he doesn't want to know. He doesn't want to know because if he knows that, he will have to act. And it will be out there that there's members of parliament in the Liberal Party of Canada and the Conservative Party of Canada that are fighting in parliament for their country of origin, and they're not loyal to our country. He doesn't want to have that discussion. He doesn't want me to ask him during a debate, hey, why you're not acting on the information that you received? Anyway, I will ask him the question, why he is still allowed MPs in his own political party to not be loyal to our country. That's basic. If you are in politics and you want to be elected for Canada, you must put your country first. But some of them are not doing that.
It's pretty, from a citizen standpoint, it's pretty feckless. I mean, if I was a leader of a political party and I found out or had the ability to find out whether or not there were MPs in my ranks that were disloyal to Canada, wouldn't a strong leader just purge their party of these corrupt and possibly treasonous MPs?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the right thing to do. But, he doesn't want to do it. And actually, some people are telling me, Maxime, to be elected, you must be a citizen of your country, but you must not have dual citizenship because we want you to be loyal to Canada. And what do you think about that, Maxime? Why not, that being part of your electoral platform? And an answer to that is, look, who is the one who destroyed our country? Justin Trudeau. And he is a Canadian citizen. He doesn't have another citizenship from another country. You need to elect politicians who are in line with your values, and that's the solution. But Trudeau is, Canadians that is destroying our own country, and having that very bad relationship with China. And so the fact that what I'm asking to our candidates, I'm asking them, do you do you agree with our platform? Do you agree with these 21 policies on our website and our platform? If it's yes, you're ready to fight for Canadians, you're on board. Let's go and let's have that fight. But if they don't agree, that will be the first job of a candidate elected for the People's Party, to fight for what we said to Canadians for the last 6 years, to fight for our platform. And by doing that, we are fighting for our country and Canadians.
You were a cabinet minister at one time. You were the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Is there anything within that portfolio? Is there anything that a foreign affairs minister can do in response to potential foreign interference in Canada?
Yes, actually, uh, being being open to have that discussion. Now Trudeau and Poilievre, they don't want to have that kind of discussion. They say, yeah, it may happen, but let's have a real parliamentary commission on that, and having the real witnesses that will come and have a discussion about it. It's happening in our own country. We need to change our legislation. They did that in Australia. They changed their legislation about that on different subjects. So we must do the same. It must be a priority for a government to be without any interference. And that's happening in our country, not at a huge scale, but it is happening. Only once in one riding, it's too much. So we need to do more, but they don't want to look deeper in that file, because they will have to, they will be blamed. They will have to look at their own political party, inside their own political party, to change things that they're doing. The fact that they're pandering and doing politics, identity politics, it's not helping. They're doing identity politics, they're pandering, so they want to have support for these communities. And that's why we have people that are not loyal to our party in our parliament. And that's why you have foreign interference in our country. So let's have that discussion and let's look at the solution. I don't have the solution to solve that, but we must look at what other countries did, and take the best example.
Sometimes people talk about how our intelligence services and our law enforcement agencies don't have the best of relationships. And I'm wondering, does the government have any role to play to try to sort of improve that pipeline of information between places like CSIS and the RCMP?
Yeah, absolutely. The RCMP right now, like our Canadian forces, they are woke organization. They are not promoting people because they're competent. based on meritocracy. It's not that. It's based on DI policies. We must stop that, and we will as a People's Party. So you need to have real people in these organizations that are competent. And I'm not sure for the RCMP. I'm sure that at the head of the RCMP, you don't have the best person there. And CSIS, they they must have a better relationship with the government and with also the not only the RCMPs but also police forces across the country. Let's open the doors, let's open the windows, and look at what is happening in our country with these organizations, these woke organizations. It's time to stop that.
Okay. You and I will. You'll probably disagree with how I'm about to frame this, and I think that's because there's an election coming up, and you kind of you want to paint the liberals and the conservatives sort of with the same brush, and I totally understand why. From where I'm sitting, and from where a lot of people are sitting, Poilievre, since the convoy especially, has been somewhat successful in siphoning away some of that libertarian support that maybe the People's Party of Canada would normally receive. I think some of it has to do with their hatred of Justin Trudeau, so they just want to make sure that someone gets in that isn't Trudeau, and they think their best bet is Poilievre. Normally, I call it the conservative two-step leadership race. You court the far right, and then election you end up sliding towards the center a little bit. What do you think is happening regarding your support? Now, this is going to be, I think, the fourth election. You guys don't have a seat. I don't know where you're running. I'm sorry, I didn't look that up yet. Is this going to be an election that sort of dictates what your future is in politics?
It's always the
Or are you
same.
just going to keep going?
Yeah, it's always the same after each election. I'm doing a leadership review after each election. Ask Trudeau and Poilievre if they're ready to do that after that election. After each election, we are doing business with an independent firm. We are giving the membership list of our party to that firm, and we are asking people about the leadership review. And I did that at the last election. We had 5% of the vote. And I said I must do a consultation with our members. And I did it. And I believe at 96%, they said, we want to keep you, Max. So I'll do the same after the next election. But people must understand, and our members understand that. They must understand that we are doing politics differently. I know what to do to be elected. I can tell you everything that you want to hear, and I'll be elected. I can do politics by polling and focus group, and I'll be elected tomorrow. We are doing politics differently. We are offering a real alternative to Canadians, and we are saying things that may not be popular today, but they will be popular in the future, like immigration, for example. When I started to speak about that in 2019, only maybe 20% of the population were in favor to reduce immigration, but now more than 60% of them. So by conviction, by ideas. And what I'm telling our candidates, I said to our candidates in 2021, the goal is to have 4%. That was our goal. And we had 5%. But when I was telling that to my candidates, I was telling that you won't win. Nobody will win with 4%. And we are there to change the public opinion. That's our goal. And the more vote we'll have, the more influential we will be. We will never do any compromise with our ideas, because if our ideas today is not that popular, we believe that telling the truth based on facts, we will win the battle of ideas. It's a question of time. So your question about the next election, we we almost triple our score from 2019 to 2021, 1.6 to 5%. Maybe we can double our score. I don't know, but if we double our score, would be more influential. Maybe we can have our first candidate elected, me or another candidate. But if we don't have anybody elected, if we don't increase our percentage of the vote, we will be there for the next election in 2029. And actually, you're right about the support that we have from people who are looking at us, say, "Oh, Bernie, I like your ideas, I like your platform, but I want to get rid of Trudeau and the Liberals, so I won't vote for you. I don't want to split the vote." For them, I have a good news to tell them. Look at the polls. Poilievre will win with a majority. He is 20 points in advance with the Liberals. He may have the biggest majority in the history of our country, like Mulroney in 1988. Because after 9 years, if the Liberals they will have a new leader, Carney or the former finance minister Freeland, but that won't change anything. It won't. People are fed up with the Liberals and they're voting for Poilievre. They're voting against Trudeau, and that's why Poilievre will be elected. They're voting against the Liberals. So what I'm telling them, it's win-win. Now you see that Poilievre will win, so you need to support us if you like our ideas, because we're going to keep Poilievre in the right direction. Like you said, Poilievre, during his campaign for the leadership, was speaking like a real right-wing politician. But now, like you said, he's going to the middle and he's doing compromise with what he said during the leadership contest. And so you need us to keep him honest, to push him in the right direction. And that's why we can do that by having some candidates elected, but we can do that also by increasing our percentage of the vote and being more influential. So it's a win-win. Now you can vote for us because you'll be sure that Trudeau will be out and the Liberals will be out. So that's a nice opportunity for us to gain more support. And I believe it will happen at the next election. But answering your question, yes, after the election, I will ask our members if they want me as a leader or not, like I did at the last election. But also, I said to our members, I like what I'm doing. And, I'm ready to be in that position for the next 10 years because I know it will take time to win that battle of ideas. But what is most important in politics is your credibility. And you cannot buy that. We have a lot of credibility because you can find videos of me saying the same thing 10 years ago, 6 years ago. So people know that we are serious and we won't change. So that's important. The credibility that we are gaining in politics by being telling the truth and always the same thing, and popular or not, we are fighting for what we believe. And actually, like COVID-19, we were right. Poilievre, was pushing for and asking Trudeau to bring these jabs and vaccine more faster than it was, and he was arguing for that. But in the beginning, I was saying no, freedom of choice, and we must respect our Charter of Rights. And we did that. That was not popular. I went in jail for that. I was handcuffed, put in jail for a non-crime after a political meeting fighting for freedoms. So you gain credibility, and people will know it. A lot of people are fed up with politicians that are saying something a day and the opposite the other day. So we are not like that, and that change will come. But it's a question of time. Look in UK, Nigel, he had 15% of the vote, and he was able to elect six candidates. Because of our electoral system, it's first past the post. So it's more difficult for a populist party to have people elected. But Nigel is very influential in UK, and it took him 7 times to be elected in Parliament. I'm telling you, it won't take 7 times for me as the leader of the People's Party of Canada.
I've never heard a politician say what you just said, which is, we all know Poilievre's going to be the next prime minister, so you might as well vote for my party. I mean, if you include that on messaging in your assets and your advertising, I think people might, and it kind of reminds me of Trudeau's broken promise of proportional representation. Would a system like that benefit a party like yours?
Absolutely. If we have more.
Are you for proportional representation?
Yes, I'm for, but I know it won't happen. All these two mainstream political parties are against that. And it's always the same. You have 9 years conservatives, 9 years liberals, 9 years conservatives, 9 years liberals. So if you want to change that, we are there. We are the real alternative. And so that's why I'm telling the truth. Everybody, if you look at the polls and politics, and Poilievre is pandering every weekend to different ethnicity to be sure to have the vote of where you have a lot of new Canadians in different ridings to have their support. Look what happened. Poilievre was able to win a by-election that was liberal for the last 15 years. So it's happening. Poilievre will be elected, so you can vote for us. That's what I'm saying, and it's not new. I'm saying that, and I will say
I
that
can
during the
just see that.
campaign.
I can see that on I can see that on advertisement. And I'm just saying, it would be first of its kind. We all know Poilievre will win, so now you're free to vote your conscience. Vote
That's it.
PPC. Like I could just see that working.
You'll see it. You're gonna see
Um,
it. You're gonna
the
see it, and you're gonna say Bernier must thank me. But yeah, we will do some ad about that because that's
yeah,
what we
I'm
believe.
pretty sure that's my idea. I'm pretty sure I need to get credit for that idea,
You will. You
Max.
will.
So well, if that happens, I just want you can send me a bottle of wine. It's fine. It's good. Okay. The Trump tariff threat. We are seeing. It's really been interesting how we are seeing both the prime minister react, Mark Carney, Danielle Smith, Doug Ford, all these people reacting in their own ways. They're going to Mar-a-Lago. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't think it's bad on the face of it, but you have a spectrum of sort of responses from like a soft defense of Canada from Danielle Smith to a pretty pointed criticism from people like Mark Carney and I guess Trudeau to a certain degree. Where would you what's your position on the tariffs? Is it a real threat? Is it a tactic? And what would you do if you were in Parliament right now as far as a response? Like, say you were Prime Minister or something, what would your response be?
We know that if we have a trade war, economic war with the US, we won't win. We must not go there. We must just tell the truth. Actually, right now, the US are buying maybe 40% of their oil and gas is coming from Canada. That's the reality. If you impose a tariff of 25% of that, prices will go up in the US. So you need to have that discussion. But what Trump is doing, he's laughing right now. He's laughing at us. He's laughing at the Trudeau. He knows that we have a weak government. Actually, the Liberals Party is down in the polls. Trudeau resigned. They will have a new leader. So he just wants to destabilize our country and Canada at the table of the negotiation. But by the way, we started these negotiations for the new free trade that will happen officially in 2026. So my position and our position is to be out there and ask the real questions. What Trump wants. He wants us to secure our borders. He wants us to stop that mass immigration. All these illegals who are crossing the border from Canada to the US. Last year, it was 1 million of them. They intercepted, the US administration intercepted 1 million illegals from Canada going to the US. We need to have that moratorium. He wants us to invest in our defense. Yes, we must. We are investing less than 2% of our GDP. He wants us to have a real free trade with the dairy cartel. I said that 10 years ago that we must put that cartel on the
That's how you
table.
lost the
That would
leadership
be
race.
good for Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
Speaking about the real, and now it will happen. I said that in Quebec in French. I did an interview over there, and I said, dairy producers, it's time. You have only 2 years, and that's on the table right now. We need to put on the table that will be good for Canadian consumers and US consumers. We are paying twice the price for dairy, poultry, and eggs. It's time to stop if you compare that with the price in the US. That being said, put everything on the table, have a nice discussion. And I may add about the annexion. That was fun. And the best argument, if Trump is serious about the annexion and the 51st state, I have the answer for that. Listen to it. President Trump, you're a Republican. And Canada, we our population is 40 million people. That's the same population than in California. And by the way, do you want to have another big California in the US? Because at your presidential election, they did a poll in Canada, and more than 70% of our population were saying that they were ready to vote for Harris and the Democrats. Do you want to change the political face of the US with 70% of 40 million people, Democrats. You don't want that. So can you stop to speak about the annexion? It won't happen. It's not in your best interest as a Republican.
I think you just blew your opportunity to go to Mar-a-Lago for a photo op.
I don't need that.
No. Listen, I know you're a little pressed for time. I think we're going to wrap it there. Listen, I appreciate you always coming back. Let's try to talk again before the election, and we'll regroup and we'll see how you're doing. And if I see an advertisement about saying that Poilievre's going to win, so vote your conscience, vote PPC, I'm going to apply for your press secretary job or something like that. Okay.
You may see it. You may see it, but I really appreciate that. Let's have another discussion, because for me it's a nice opportunity to be to speak to your audience. And as I said in the beginning, because I'm canceled by the mainstream media, speaking with you, it's a nice opportunity. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward for having another discussion.
Yeah, I am as well. Thanks, Max. I really appreciate your time.
Have a nice.
You too. Bye-bye. Maxime Bernier, everybody. See, he's not so bad, guys. I got hate mail again, and I got some interesting comments underneath the post to promote this show. But listen, we can talk to people we don't agree with, and I think that we have to learn how to be just civil with one another. Max Bernier is he's a former cabinet minister. He is a legit guest. I don't recognize the word platforming, and I think that we are able to sit down and basically talk to anybody. So today's actually Black Ball doubleheader. We are now relaunched officially. I've been putting a lot of stuff on Spotify and Apple that have been old interviews that I've just sort of, I just wanted to keep the page active. So now a little bit later today, we're going to have David Wallace, and we're going to talk a little bit about foreign interference, and we're going to talk about our podcast series that's upcoming. We are waiting for the NC Cop report to come out before we release it. But I think all of you are going to be, you're going to have raised eyebrows. Full disclosure, we're a little unsure about how we're going to release it. This might be the first time that we actually, it will be the first time that we attach a sort of price per episode situation, maybe through Substack or something. I hope that's not going to ruffle too many feathers. I've been putting out free content for 5 years, and I just think that once in a while, like my show will always be a free show, but this is different. We're putting our own money into it. We're having a producer from Netflix help us with the scoring and the editing and the cleaning up the audio and things like that. So some of it is to recoup, and some of it is just because everyone needs to eat. So please stay tuned for later today when we have David Wallace on the show, and we'll see you next time on Blackballed.
Blackball. 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 Black. Blackball.